We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Working Towards Black. Working Towards Black is a show, it's a series of conversations, really, to get us to begin to have these conversations around the diaspora, Africa, our interrelationships, the nuances of our cultures, how they connect, how they disconnect. And we've just been having this amazing series and all of these wonderful conversations around how we grew up and what we thought about the world. And here we are. So today we have Kristen Adele Calhoun. She is a brilliant actress, but I'm going to read her bio because I've been trying to do right by people, make sure that everybody knows exactly who they are. So, the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. These words, Tony Cade Bambara, guide Kristen Adele Calhoun's work as a playwright, performer, and organizer. She is founding program director of Art Change US, co producer of Interfest, and the assistant editor of contemporary plays by women of color. Her play Canfield Drive about Ferguson, the murder of Mike Brown, and the revolutionary power of healing in the face of oppression had a rolling world premiere in 2019 at the St. Louis Black Rep and the National Black Theater Festival. Other plays include Black Cypress Bayou, The Oldest Town in Texas, A Pocket Full of Dandelions. What is this? Quilombo? You're
Quilombo.
going to have to connect. What is it?
Yeah, Quilombo.
Quilombo. Okay. And with these hands and ain't gonna let nobody. So she is my Texas girl, and we're both fans of Ghana, and she is currently living in Ghana. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much, Nisha. It's an honor to be here with you in conversation.
Oh, I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to start with where we're connected and bonded, which is Texas.
Yes.
What was it like growing up as a young Black woman in Texas? Where were you? What were the messages being told around Blackness, identity? Tell me.
Ooh, I love this question so much for so many different reasons, but mainly because I'm here in Ghana actually thinking a lot about Texas because I'm writing this series of plays about my maternal ancestors in Texas, thinking a lot about the ways that Ghana connects to Texas. But we'll come back to that.
Yes.
And I'll answer your actual question. Um, I feel really fortunate that I was raised around Black people. I was in Oak Cliff in Dallas. I was in a Black neighborhood. We went to a Black school. We went to a Black church. Our home was full of Black art. I only had Black baby dolls. So all the messaging that I received around Blackness was that we were incredible, that we were excellent and had been historically, and that I was incredible to be Black. I feel like even when we were very, very young, our parents were super clear with us about their point of view of the world that we lived in. They were like, you are Black, and this is what this means to some people. But we know that it means you're amazing. So I feel like the way we were raised is so powerful. And not only did we have our experience in Dallas in the city, but then my grandparents are in deep East Texas. So we also had that rural
The
experience.
country.
The country, Lodi, Texas, which is a town that's like, I don't know, less than 100 people or something like that. But I give thanks for that experience of going to Ebenezer Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Like, that's really where I cut my teeth doing theater, even though they wouldn't call it theater. But they would have me get up and like read the scripture or play the piano. And that was like, they praised me so much just for my ability to read well and play well and just like articulate my thoughts. And so they really cultivated that in me and celebrated that as well.
And I want to get right into these connections because I know we've talked about this before, but I realized very early that a lot of why I was so connected to the continent, why I preferred dating on the continent, there were so many different levels of why the continent made sense for me. And a variety of different countries, variety of different cultures on the continent was because Texas gives you like this rootedness, this sense of self. We have these families that go deep. You know, I have 7 generations of my family alive. And I think that Black Texan experience is very particular.
Yeah.
How have you found these connections for you as you're now living in Ghana? And we definitely got to get to how you end up there.
Did you say you have 7 generations of family alive, Tanisha?
Alive, alive.
Whoa! What a
Hmm.
blessing. That is
Hmm.
incredible. Like y'all are
It
time
is.
traveling in one family. Wow. For real. Like that is powerful to think of what all those different generations have touched.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Um, I mean, yeah, to your point, it just feels so familiar, Ghana and like East Texas in particular. When I'm in the Volta region here and I see like those huge expanses of green and just see Black people living on the land, farming the land, being self-determined and being self-sufficient in that way, it just reminds me of home. And like the way people greet one another here, the way people take responsibility for one another here feels so familiar. And
Hmm.
there's also like, I mean, people also look alike. I'm also seeing people all the time here in Ghana. I'm like, you look just like my
That's
grandbaby.
it's true.
You look like Uncle so and so, Auntie so and so. So, it just feels so familiar. Um,
Hmm.
I'm shooting a film, or actually, we just wrapped the film, but we were on set and we were on the riverfront, and a lot of Ghana is people fish and get their food out of the water, and also that just felt so familiar because that was such a part of our life in those summers in East Texas too. Like we ate what we caught oftentimes, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. So let's talk about Texas and Texas history, because I know that you are diving deep into this. There's so many. Black Texas is such a very specific Black experience. And what I started to realize is that as I moved around the United States, there are very different Black experiences going on
Mhm.
everywhere. How do
Yeah.
you think the Black experience, in Texas has differed as you moved around the United States before you get to Ghana?
Ooh, I love this too. So I'm going to point to the research of a sister named Dr. Andrea Roberts. And I think I've mentioned her to you before, but she's doing this work around unearthing these Texas freedom colonies, looking at Reconstruction directly after enslavement when we were emancipated, and how she's found over 500 of these freedom colonies where formerly enslaved Black people were like, we are going to be self determined, we're going to have for ourselves. Now, if you look at the maps that the white folks have, they would say that there's only a handful of these colonies. But she's been able to go into community and, like, what she says she's doing is she counts the places that count, and puts them all on the map. So when I think about that, when I think about that spirit, which I feel like is really unique to Texas, that spirit of we're gonna do for ourselves. We good. We don't need
We're a
nobody else.
whole country. So I don't know what you guys think.
A whole entire country. But when you think about
We were
people,
only a country for 1 year, but I don't think that we've ever accepted that.
oh, no, no, no. And then
Was
you
it
start to,
1 year?
I don't know. I don't know how
I
long it
feel
was.
like the Lone Star, like I
It
feel like
feels like
it
it
was
never
like
ended. It feels like we've always been a nation.
1
And then
year.
you think of these independent Black nations within that. And I'm just like, that is what it means to be a Black Texan. We are fiercely independent, fiercely about Black liberation since before we've been about it, since that was even like language people were using. Um, what else do I want to say about what it means to be a Black Texan? I had another thought that came by. Oh, okay. This is something else that Dr. Roberts talks about in her work. Is that area right where Texas and Louisiana meet was called, I didn't know this until she told me, Tanisha, but it was called no man's land. And like this was around the time
Mm.
Louisiana Purchase. So there was actually a section of land that nobody owned. It wasn't owned by the French. It wasn't owned by US, nobody. So the formerly enslaved knew that if they got there, they could be free. And so there were people who were like, specifically rebellious and independent and would take nothing other than freedom who like settled that area. And those are the people
Mhm.
that we're from, so that's in our blood. The folks were like, get me to no man's land so I can make my own.
So how do you, because leaving Texas is a big deal.
It
How
is.
do you end up leaving Texas?
Oh, I first left Texas in 2008, I want to say, to live in Colorado. I lived in Denver for a year before I went to New Jersey for grad school, where I studied theater at Rutgers, and then lived in New York City for many, many, many years before I was like, okay, I miss the sky, I miss nature. So that kind of a couple years ago led me back towards Colorado. And then I found my way to Ghana from there. It's like I need even more freedom.
How does this happen? What's the connection? So, what is being spoken about in terms of Africa? Because, while we have this very deep blackness that connect, I
Mhm.
remember my grandmother saying, "Baby, you don't know those people.
Right.
Why are you going over there? You don't know those people." Like, what's the story about Africa that's being told that even gives you the inkling to say, I might want to try Ghana?
That's such a good question. I feel like people are always asking me why Ghana. And Tanisha, to be honest with you, I feel like it was an ancestral calling. Like I don't have a moment. I can't point to anything that my parents said, my grandparents said. Something just called me to this place specifically. And I wish I had more of an answer for you other than that. But I needed a place where I could travel by myself and be safe. So when I did the research, all signs pointed to Ghana to come. And it's the gateway to Africa. And also the historical connection of Maya Angelou living here, Malcolm X coming here, so on and so forth.
But the spiritual connection is not nothing. It's enough.
Right, right, yeah. And when you think of the amount of us who were kidnapped from this land specifically and went through Cape Coast and Elmina castles, it's like it truly does feel like a return. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific from my Texan upbringing that points me here. That's a great question, though. I'm gonna keep thinking
Yeah,
about
I don't know where it happened for me either. Like
it.
no one was guiding me to Africa.
Right.
That's not really. I mean, I feel like I felt proud to be Black, but I don't
Mhm.
know that Africa was necessarily in that. So I'm always very curious
Right.
because we got a whole collection, just so you guys know, of like Black Texas women on the continent roaming around. We meet up with each other everywhere we go. It's a very interesting little phenomenon. I'm not sure, but I'd be very curious when we figure out what these links are
Yeah.
to that particularly. So, Ghana, I
Yes.
mean, it's so tell me about this experience when you first get there. So you went a few times before you decided to live?
Yeah, I did. So I came for the first time in February of last year. Loved it so much. I came back in August. Loved it so much. I came back in December. And honestly, Tanisha, I intended to only be here until March. But then when COVID happened, my mom was actually here. And so she actually made it back on one of the last flights that went back to the US. She wanted me to come back. But I was like, you know what? I'm good here. I'm at peace here. I have a level of peace here that I've never experienced anywhere else. Um, and I feel, I feel good about being here in the moment of like pandemic and chaos that's happening globally.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
what has your experience been like on the ground in Ghana?
Yeah. It's been, it's not without its challenges, like things are different. I think when I initially came, I thought, I was going to have the stereotypical, like, welcome home, Aquaba at the airport and all of that. It's like, oh, okay, that's not exactly what's going on. But so yeah, there are challenges just in terms of like figuring out the cultural differences, how things flow, how things operate, um, what's polite, because our
Just
manners aren't necessarily the manners here. You
yeah.
know, just
Hmm.
being in order in terms of like how to operate culturally. Um, but overall, it's been incredibly beautiful. I felt deeply welcomed even without the Aquaba at the airport. Um,
We'll get you some dancers next time.
well,
All
my
my
mom,
Ghana people watching this, because I know they're gonna be watching close because they know I'm talking about Ghana today. Uh,
yes,
we want some dancers next time she enters the
when
airport. Okay.
when mom came in on Independence Day, actually on the 6th of March, and they had dancers at the airport. She was like, "You
Okay.
are racist for me." I was like, "No, ma'am, but we are grateful."
So let's talk about I want to start with the challenges because I want to get to the good stuff, right? And we both know that Ghana is, I mean, complicated and layered, and there's so many different various cultures and languages. What
Yeah,
are some of the main complications or things that have kind of come up that you weren't expecting?
yeah. I think one of the biggest ones for me is how colonization has really done a number on our brothers and sisters on the continent. And for instance, I was told that most Ghanaians in their, education system will spend about half a day learning about the transatlantic enslavement process. Like just half a day. Like most of them have not even been to the dungeons, don't even really understand the connection of Ghana to us, to those of us were kidnapped and taken away. So that has been really, really surprising for me. And of course, that impacts how people view me. And even, when people are like, what are you doing here in Ghana? I've had so many people tell me they're trying to get to the US. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Stay here. This is paradise in a lot of ways. So that disconnect has been really hard. Just trying
Mhm.
to communicate, what we've been going through for the past 400 years, what that has to do with Ghana, and how we can relate to one another as family, as long lost relatives. Um, that has been specifically challenging, but I have hope
Mhm.
around it.
Yeah. I think that one of the things, a lot of what we deal with is rhetoric, right? So
Mhm.
you hear, people are constantly saying how Africans know themselves. And I'm like, I think that we've all experienced all over the world different forms of the same type of oppression. And so that disconnect from yourself is very much the same. When you look at the way that the Western church has played itself out, particularly in Ghana, it becomes a point of conversation when, they're building what is it, the biggest statue of white Jesus in on the continent. You start to ask yourselves, okay, well, is this true that people really know each other? It's kind of like the kings and queens phenomenon. We got to really start breaking down to get to the nitty gritty of what's real about it.
Yeah.
As you're moving through your day, because people are all, this is another thing that I hear often, and I'd love for you to address it. They don't want us here. They don't want
Oh,
us there. Yeah, like
but
they
that's just
they
like
don't want us.
I've never encountered that once where somebody was like, I don't want you here. I've had more confusion about why would you leave the US to come here? But that's just because they don't understand the conditions under which Black Americans live. But never once has anybody given me anything to feel like I'm unwanted on the continent. You know, that's never occurred. And I heard that rhetoric too growing up
Hmm.
that, oh, they don't
Hmm.
like us, they think they're better than us. And that has not once been my personal experience. It's actually
Now,
hard to
when you were in New York, because I think
Mhm.
that one of the differences is like I don't know that I heard that in Texas, but I think in New York I heard it more, and I think that connection to immigration and the
Mm,
experience that African Americans and the conflict of the workforce and all of the things that shifted and changed as Black immigrants poured into the US, particularly in New York City. I hear it more in New York, but I think that there's some rootedness around just a resentment for how immigrants understand Black America, how the
yeah.
media portrays us to them. Did you find that your experience talking about Africa in New York was somehow different?
Mm. Not really, Tanisha, but because I don't get into arguments with people online. I'm not talking to people who like have radically different worldviews than me. Like my friend group is generally on the same page as me. So I
Mhm.
haven't really experienced that so much. It's more rhetoric I heard years and years and years ago. And I know people still say it because I will see people like comment that sort of thing. But I'm just kind of like, okay, well, you need to find out for yourself that it's actually something different. That comes
Yeah. So tell me about that life. What is life like every day? What are you doing with your time?
Yeah. I mean, I love my days here. They're so peaceful. I spend a lot of time resting. We have a pool. I spend a lot of time in the pool. I'm writing. Like I said, I'm working on an anthology of short plays. So I spend a lot of time doing my writing process, also a lot of time in video calls. And we have an amazing staff of people here at the house who help support my like day-to-day basic things like cooking and things like that, which really frees up my time to do the things that I want to be doing. So I go for walks in the neighborhood, speak to my neighbors. You know, it's really lovely. Even though I'm in the city, it still has like a small town vibe. Like the
Because
people
you're
in
in West Legon, right?
East Legon.
Oh, you're in East Legon.
Yeah,
Okay.
East Legon, yeah. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Tell the people, because I know, we're really familiar with Accra and all these different suburbs, but so East Legon is what?
Ooh, what a good question. East Saigon is a nice suburb. I've been told that lots of like footballers live in this neighborhood and mega church pastors. You know, if you can imagine what that suburb looks like in your area. But it's also like a lot of working class people are in this neighborhood as well.
It's like the
And
Atlanta of Accra.
yes, I love that. I love that comparison. And you can do whatever you want over here. You know, if you
Yeah.
want to be super bougie and do that whole thing, we got that. We have those sort of restaurants. And if you want to just get some like a kebab off the street, we got that too. You know, like
Mhm.
right next to each other, basically. So I love it here. It's very accessible. It's close to everything. If you want to get to the middle of the city, or if you want to go the opposite way and go up to the mountains to a brewery, we can do that. You know, so it's well located, easy to walk. I really like it a lot.
Mm. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the idea that you feel peaceful and how much you
Mm,
get done because of that peace. What is it like living without the weight of the racism, the weight of the microaggressions? What is that like?
yeah. I mean, when I first came in February of last year, I really had to sit with myself when I realized that. When I realized, oh, I don't have that weight. I'm not living under that constant oppression. And who am I? Who am I when I'm not angry all the time? When I'm not railing against something all the time? What do I actually want? Like, what do I
Mhm.
want to create? What can I imagine from this space? But the fact that I had lived my entire life and that question had never even occurred to me was when I was like, oh, everyone has to experience this. All Black people, we have to know what this feels like, whether or not you decide to move here or whatever, but at least come taste it. At least come like put it on your body and experience it. Because when I tell you on a cellular level, I can breathe in a way that I just can't in the US. Like
Mhm.
I'm open and free, and like you mentioned, it gives me so much time to be with myself, to know who I am,
When
to
you're not
know
mad,
say it
when
again.
you're not mad, it's
Right.
like you recover all this time that you know you had. Yeah.
I had no idea. And creativity, there's like things I'm able to access. I'm able to tap into like ancestral connections, stuff that I just didn't have the energy for in the US. So it's
Mm.
really powerful. I highly recommend it. I do. Everybody get some as soon as possible.
So tell me, what is the dating life like in Ghana?
Ooh,
What you
that's a
doing over there, girl? What you do? Oh, wait, I might get you in trouble.
because ain't nothing going on. I mean, it's like nothing happening. I've been in a couple of long distance relationships that were lovely but have ended. And I would love to date a brother in Ghana, but you know, I'm in no rush. It needs to
Uh-huh.
be the right person. I feel like that's been actually one of the blessings of this COVID period, of this like sit still period, is it's giving me time to really sit with myself and ask, okay, what do I want? What do I really, really want in a partner? What do I need in a partner? So that's getting clearer and clearer for me. So that now when like, someone enters the picture, I'm more apt or able to be like, oh no, 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 quicker. Like this ain't it. You're lovely, but no, this ain't it.
Yeah, you ain't the
Yeah,
one.
one. But yeah, I would love whoever that is to go ahead and show on up. I
Maybe I
feel
should
very
just put your Instagram up real quick so that anybody that needs to hit you up, they could.
that'll
So
be good.
I'm curious about, we're in this space as young Black people that have options, you
Yeah.
know. Um, as you're navigating this new world that you're existing in, what does the future look like to you? What is your biggest dream for us?
Ooh, my biggest dream for us is that we would all be free, truly, wherever we are, whether that is on the continent, in the Caribbean, Europe, US, that we would truly understand what freedom feels like. I think my preference would be for everyone to come here, to invest in the continent, to build on the continent. I think if the full diaspora returned, if we gave all of our attention to building this place, can you imagine how
Mhm.
powerful we would be? I mean, and that's really my dream. But short of
Mhm.
that, because I understand not everybody's able to do that, not everybody's interested in that. That wherever we are, we would know freedom within, and know that that's not.
Define freedom.
Yeah. Mm, hmm. I think freedom is when you only accept things that are in alignment with your divinity. When anything outside of that is just, you know, you can't tolerate it. When you have decided that no matter what your external circumstances are, that nothing can hold you, nothing can hold you back. Um, and that it's like make a choice to be elevated or unbothered by the things that attempt to hold us down. And
Mm.
I think, yeah, there's some places in the world where it's easier to do that. I find it hard to do that in the States when I'm surrounded by the things trying to hold us down. But when I remove myself, I'm able to rise above some of those things. So,
Mm.
yeah. What about you? I want to hear what freedom
Yes.
looks like for you, or how do you?
Ah, I feel like I've always made choices towards freedom. Freedom for me is a lot of sacrifice.
Mm,
I have chosen, with all these degrees and stuff like that, to still go the entrepreneurship route, which isn't always easy.
yeah,
But I knew that being in an environment where I'm navigating, white microaggressions and those types of, it wasn't ever really going to be for me. Um, and I feel like freedom for me really looks like, I think exactly what you said, like being authentic.
yeah,
I grew up in a corporate America environment where all of my father retired as a CIO. All of his friends were the most powerful Black men in America, you
mm,
know, and but I know the other side of that power. I know the sacrifices that you make. I know the words that you swallow. I feel like I was really given, someone did that for me, and I really credit my parents because I could have never, I don't think that would have, that I've been free to not have to do that, right? They've given me this space to explore the world and to build an existence that doesn't really have to kowtow to whiteness in that way. So I
yeah,
really live and center myself in my world. And I think freedom is a centering of yourself. I don't live under the white gaze. I don't care what you think and what you got to say, really. You know, um,
yeah,
I'm centering myself, centering Blackness, centering my people. I think provides me the type of freedom that, I want to live in. And the sacrifices, I make a lot of, I was just talking to a friend because, I was making a lot of business decisions. I make a lot of business decisions around my politics, and it doesn't make me rich. It actually keeps me really
Yes,
poor. Yeah, it keeps me poor, but it keeps me free.
that's right.
And I'm trying to find the balance between that because I don't want to be poor, but
Agree.
I'm not willing to give up the freedom for the
Mhm.
riches. So I'm just trying to find the balance of my freedom right now. Like, what does that really look like? And where can I be my most authentic self? And I definitely think I feel better. Everyone knows I'm happier. I'm a grouch mouch when I'm in the States. Like, if I'm here longer than a week, I'm walking around like I was today in my swimsuit begging for somebody to send me a plane. Like, I just need a plane.
Yeah.
So I always ask people this. And no, actually, before I ask you this final question, I really want to know about these projects, because one of the things that I loved, you posted the other day about this opportunity to be in a film, and you saying, God, I would really love to do this. And then it poof happening. And I find the opportunity on the continent is just constantly being thrown at me. There's never an absence of opportunity. Talk to
Mhm.
us about what opportunity looks like, because I think that that's people's biggest fear.
Yeah. I mean, it's abundant. Like you just said, it feels like it's constantly being thrown at me. The earth here itself is fertile, and I feel like that resonates out. Like, whatever you want, this is fertile ground to make it happen. I told a friend of mine in early July, I was like, I really want to act in a project here. And he was like, oh, that's easy. I was like, what do you mean that's easy? I don't have an agent. I'm thinking with my Western mind. I was like, I don't have
Mhm.
this, I don't have this. He was like, it's easy. He connected me with this sister named Amake, who's Ghanaian, but spent a lot of time in the UK. And she just happened to be producing a film in which they were looking for an American actress. She called me within a week of me having this conversation with him. It's like, here's a script. Would you be interested in this part? We start shooting in 2 days. And I was like, what? What? Like, I couldn't fathom that sort of thing happening in the States. Like, anything's possible, but the ease with which it flows here is like something I've never seen before. Like, the
Mhm.
abundance and the flow on the continent is incredible. So,
Mhm.
and I see that in all fields, in all sectors. My friends who are working in tech, working in design, whatever you want to do, there's space. And not only is there space, but we need you. Like, we need you to come
And
here
there's
and
resources and money, which I think that people
yes,
fail to. There's a whole lot of money for it too.
yes,
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah,
And I see you've made some friends.
I did. At long last. So much of my time here has been under quarantine and just been in the house. And now that we're kind of like waking back up a bit in Ghana, I'm grateful to have made some sister friends from the States. They're amazing. And, it just makes such a difference to have that close knit community
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So how are you finding building the relationships and friendships in Ghana? I mean, I know building relationships with women in general is complicated. I think maybe it's difficult as an adult all over, but I know it can be extra complicated in Ghana. How are you maneuvering and finding this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do have some Ghanaian friends as well, but there's something about connecting with sisters from the States who like understand that lived experience. And also, we're obviously like-minded on some level because we all decided to be here. Whether
Exactly.
we decided that 5 years ago or 6 months ago, we already have a great deal in common, just because of those two things. So, but yeah, I mean, to your point, I think making friends is not easy as an adult. But I've been like praying about it. I've been really intentionally asking for the right women to come into my life, women who are also in their 30s, because I think that makes a difference. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm grateful that these sisters have shown up like right on time.
Yay. So this is my big question that I ask everyone.
Okay.
What is Blackness to you?
Ooh, what is Blackness to me? Oh, when I think of Blackness, I think of expanse. I think of where we all come from. When you're in the womb, it's Black. Outer space is Black. I mean, it's the source. I think of Blackness as the source of all that is good, holy, and pure. So yeah, that's what I
Mm.
think of Blackness.
And that was perfect. But she's a writer and an actress. What did we expect? Thank you, girlie. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I so appreciate this conversation. It was beautiful. And thank you guys for tuning in to Working Towards Black. We have so many good shows coming up, so much more conversation to have. If you're interested in participating in the conversation, please let me know. Inbox me or email me at tbarnes@tbarnesbeauty.com. And make sure that you subscribe to freeblackwomanmagazine.com. That is on and popping. If you're interested in writing, please let me know. We're always looking for writers and contributors all across the world. So we have tons of new African writers, which I'm really excited about. I'd love to beef up my Caribbean Black women writing and men. So we do have several men writing for the publication as well. And thank you. Thank you guys for continuing to tune in and being a part of this conversation. You have anything else you want to add before we go?
Thank you. I'm constantly inspired by you. So grateful for your example, all that you do, truly. Thank you, thank
Mm,
you, thank you. And thank you for the
thank-
space and conversation with you too.
It has been wonderful. Thanks, Texas girl. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.